All right. Today we begin with Shemot, also known as Exodus, chapter 25, verse 31. In English, it would literally say, "And make you menorah, gold pure, hammered work. You shall make the menorah, side her, and branch her, bulbs her, flowers from her be they." This one's a little tough, but we'll get through it. It starts off ve'asita, which is and make you literally, but and you will make, to say it the way we would. Um, Probably that's to labor, to work about, to produce, to manufacture, to fabricate. You know, it's that word that we just have all the time here because we're building a tabernacle at this point. And so you know this word, you're familiar with this word. It's to make something. So God's starting it off with, and you're going to make this thing. What is this thing? It's called a menorah. Now that's menorah in plural. Menorah is the plural of menorah. So you don't say menorahs, you say menorah. You don't say talits, you say talitot. You don't say zitzits, you say zitziot. Hear the oat. That's, of course, the feminine ending, but that's the one you're going to use for these type of words. Anyway, it's a menorah, often translated as candelabrum or candlestick in English text. It's always used of the great menorah which stood in the tabernacle of the wilderness of witness. I said wilderness. Tabernacle of witness in the wilderness of the menorah in the temple as well. So when it says that in something like the Jasenius or the Brown Driver Brig or something like that, what they're saying is this word, menorah, was not used for other purposes in what the Christians call the Old Testament, what the Jews call the Hebrew Bible, right? They never used this particular word for a different thing. I know that in the New Testament letters, they do in fact use the plural of this word and the singular of this word, not talking about the temple, which tells us that they use this of, you look at this candelabra here, this is not designed like the one in the temple, but it is common these days of ones in our homes. Now, back in the time of the temple, this type of base didn't exist. It would have had 3 legs instead. But as time went on, they became round, they became octagons, they became square. There's all kinds of, because it's artistic. And so this type of thing would have been called a menorah. And speaking of it in plural, it would have been menorot. And the reason why I'm saying that is because it's not just the New Testament letters, but even the Maccabees spoke of the menorah. And they were not just talking about the menorah that was in the temple itself. They were talking about the menorot, this thing in plural, that were on the grounds of the temple. So you do see this word used that way in Hebrew as far back as the very beginning. It's just that it's not used that way in what the Christians call the Old Testament and what we Jews call the Hebrew Bible. It just wasn't used that way in that text. But that doesn't mean that they didn't use it that way in day-to-day life. Long way for that, huh? Anyway, it's from the root nur, which is not used in the biblical text, but it's to give light, to shine. So the idea behind this is of giving off light. So why did the Jews light candles at night? Because back in the day, that's how you turned on your lights. So they did that every night, didn't they? Yeah, they probably did. But Friday night, they would say a prayer, or maybe say a blessing, or maybe do both, right? And that's become a really big thing over time. But back in the biblical period, people lit the candles at night so they would have light. Anyway, it's to give off light. Then, so it's you're going to make this menorah, this thing that gives off light. Then it says zahav. Do you remember that word? That's the word for pure gold. It's not just gold. But remember, the word means splendor, brightness, brilliance, because that's the way you describe gold. And in Hebrew, generally, what something is, the name of something comes from what it does or what it looks like, right? So zahav is splendor and brilliance, but they use it for the word gold. Then it says tahor, which is the word pure. So if you're using a word that already basically means pure, are we making it more amplified? Well, no. The zahav is more about the splendor and the brilliance and the prettiness, where tahor is about the purity. This is about the refiner getting a hold of it and getting all of the junk that's in there out. So it's going to be more brilliant, more defined, more pretty, and all those things, right? So it kind of still does amplify. It's almost like putting an exclamation point. It's to make it, because that's the whole purpose in refining it, is to make it more pure and more pretty, more brilliant, right? Anyway, then it says miksha. So you're going to make this gold, you're going to make this menorah from pure gold, and miksha is a hammered work. So it's pure hammered gold. It's not going to be, you're not going to make a mold, purify the gold, and pour it into a mold. Instead, the gold is going to be hammered out and made. This is more of a hands-on, labor-intensive process than making the mold. That was. So God wants some real touchy-feely work, going on with this thing. And then it says te'aseh, which you translate that you shall do or you shall make, because it's properly to labor, to work about, to manufacture, to fabricate. So of the hammered work, this is the way that you're going to make it. First he's saying you're going to make it, then he's saying this is the way you're going to make it, a hammered work, instead of a pouring it out into a mold type of thing. Because some of these things, God does say make a mold. But this one in particular, this is a more hands-on, do it. You'd have to be an artisan to do it. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. An artisan would have to design something and make the mold, but then just anybody could come in and pour it, right? But this is so important that God doesn't want it done that way. He wants it done by the artisan from start to finish. Okay. Then it says ha menorah. So let's see, where were we? That was to make. I don't remember the word. Yeah, you shall make it. So this is the way you're going to make. And then, just in case you're not sure, the menorah, which comes from nur, the word that means light. Then it says yerecha. So it's the side. They use it of the thigh. It's applied to inanimate things, as it is in this case, that part of the holy menorah in which the shaft divided into 3 branches, the side of a tent. So just think of the word side. Then it says vekana, and that means literally and branch her, so and her branch. I guess this is where we can do this thing here. The picture's going to be hard enough. I'm not going to use any more than I have to. But you've got a stem here, right? And then these things are called the branches. You guys probably already knew that. So he's now talking about the branches are on the side, because this being the front, that being the back, these on the side. Anyway. Then it says, ge v'eha, on the side. That's where the bowls are going to be, on the sides. These sides. Those are the bowls up here. Yeah, that's in fact what it's saying. Yeah, it's a bowl. But the bowl of a flour also you know, the roundy part of the flowers. That's called the bulb now, right? So I'm not sure if that's the bowl back then or if the bowl is because the flowers open in a cupped position like a bowl. Because that's what the word actually means. It comes from that idea. Then it says her bowls, kaftoreha, and that's the crown. This is really the word for bulbs. So you have bowls and bulbs. I guess I'm going to have to go to this picture and hopefully you guys can see it. Does it look pretty decent like that? Okay. Yeah. So what we're talking about, hopefully you can see this. You know, if you've got, once this is live, you won't be able to do it, but after it's not live anymore, you should be able to do your finger this way on the picture and make it bigger. You're going to have to do that to see this. But these little things right here, hopefully I'm pointing at the right thing. You see there's a round bulb, and then you have these things that kind of look like flowers, like leaves. They're supposed to look kind of like a leaf, because this is the almond. It's supposed to be the leaves, the flowery part of the almond, and it's got the little bowl around it. And then you have the other bowl that's at the top that holds the oil. So you have two different bowls here. You got the one that holds the oil, then you got the bowl that's on this flowery thing. And we'll talk more about that later. So they say crown and all that because when you look, just think of a flower as it opens up. It's like the pointy parts going all the way around. They're like the crown, the very top edge of what? It says uferaheha, of its flowers. So the very top of its flowers. Mi mina, from her, from its flowers. Then it's, they will be, yeah, they will be. So here's what your translation is. And you will make menorat. So you're going to make more than one of pure gold. You will make the menorat, again in plural, its base, branches, bowls, bulbs, and flowers from the same hammered work. So you're going to purify as much gold as you can, as much as it's going to take, and then that's going to be hammered out. That'd be a hammered work from a single piece of gold. Now, there are people who argue that basically the whole thing has to come from a single piece. You can't put them together, but anybody who works on metal knows good and well that a single hammered work can be, you know, you get it all from maybe the same source material, but you're hammering it out and you're welding things together and stuff like that. It's still a single hammered work. So you're going to read arguments about that if you read on it. Kasudo suggested that we look to the menorot found in Ta'anach and Ugarit and Beth Shean and Megiddo. We had some things have been dug up out of the ground in those places. Metal pedestals designed to carry a lamp with a shaft having 3 feet at the bottom, as I've already commented on. His commentary states the following. As for the bas relief on the Ark of Titus in Rome, and I wish I had a picture to show you this, but there was this big stone, and in the stone it was carved out a bunch of Roman soldiers ransacking the temple, because that happened, by the way, in 70 CE. So they're ransacking the temple, and to commemorate this, they chisel out this big stone with a picture of it. And in that picture, you see a couple of guys with the menorah in their arms, right? And at the bottom, it has an octagon base. And so this is the one he's talking about, that carved out in stone relief. It's in the place called the Arch of Titus. So like you got 2 pillars, and then this relief goes across the top, and it's kind of, you know, it's got the arch underneath, maybe even on top. I haven't seen it so long I don't remember, but in the top of that arch you have this carved out picture of them ransacking the temple and running off with the menorah. So, as for the bas relief on the Arch of Titus in Rome, the Talmudic sources and the description of Josephus Flavius, or as we know him, Flavius Josephus, they are all based on the design of the lampstand in the second temple. The second temple, because that all happened during the second temple period, right? And hence, the data they provide may be applied to the tabernacle lampstand only with considerable reservation. He's trying to tell you that we know that's what it looked like in the second temple. We have a picture of it. But first temple, maybe not so much, because that idea of the octagon base, as far as we know, didn't exist back then. They used 3 legs at the bottom. And that's where he's pointing out that in these places, Ta'anach, Yugarit, Beshian, and Megiddo, all of the ones dug up in those places had 3 legs that date back to that time period. So he's trying to point that out to you. So we're looking at one that's a little different than what we're used to seeing, because you go to just about any synagogue and it will have one with a octagon base, won't it? I've never seen one with a 3-leg base. So anyway, verse 32. Literally, in English, it would say, and 6 branches going sides her, 3 branches menorah, side her, the one, and 3 branches menorah, side her, the second. This was a little easier to follow. Veshisha, so it's, and 6 kanim, 6 branches. And if you remember, these are the branches, these things here, right? That only has 3 branches, unless you look at it this way. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Because the branches are coming out of this side, 3 of them, and there's 3 branches coming out of this side, right? So there's 6 branches. Put that back in. So anyway, kanim, that's branches. Yotzim, they're going out from, they're traveling away from that centerpiece, Gotzim. Moving out from Mitzideha, from her side. Remember, I already pointed that out, that this is the front, making this the back, making these the sides. So you have these going out from her sides. So far, the design is absolutely correct, right? We know that the bottom is wrong, but we know so far that this part is correct. And that's important. But again, this isn't one for the temple, so it doesn't have to be like what we're describing. This is okay to have these in your home and your synagogue, whatever. We're talking about, I said temple, we're talking about the one in the tabernacle in the wilderness, and it was very specific for that one. Anyway, from her sides. And this is Shelosha, 3 kene. Remember, that was the word, that's branches. We had the word branch in singular, now we have it in plural. So it's 3 branches, menorah, of the menorah, Mitzeda, from her side, ha'echad, from her side, the one. So from one side, there's 3 branches going out. Then it says, Ushelosha, and 3, kene, 3 branches. We've already had the word, menorah. It's going to say, Mitzida, from side her. Then it's going to say ha sheni. Remember a while ago it said ha echad, the one. Now it's going to say ha sheni, the second. Or the other. The one side or the other is the way we would probably say it. So your translation of 32, and 6 branches will go out from her sides. 3 branches from one side of the menorah, and 3 branches from the other side of the menorah. Pretty simple, right? Then verse 33. 3 bowls from almonds in branch the one bulb and flower, and 3 bowls the almonds in branch the one bulb and flower. So too 6 the branches went forth from the menorah. Shelosha, that's the word for 3. Gevi'im, 3 bowls. So, Oh, got the wrong one. Got to keep this straight. All right. Let's see if we can get you seeing it good. Is that good there?
Yeah.
Now, we're back to, now we're talking about, we've got the 3 branches over here, which I've left undone. And then I've got the 3 branches over here. So you start off, you've got these 3 blank canvases, if you will. Then it's saying that you're going to have 3 bowls from the almonds. Well, these roundy things here are the bowls from the almonds. Did that look right to you where I put my finger? Okay, so I'm having to do this looking through the deal. Then we're going to talk about the flowers, these things above the bowls. Right? You see that there's 3 of them on this branch. And then there's 3 on this branch, and then I'm going to talk about why there's 3 on this branch, because it's not going to say anything about this. So you got 3 coming from, 3 of these almond bowls are coming from there. Then it says Bekana in the branch, so you got the 3 bowls in this branch. Were you able to see it? The 3 bowls in this branch. High Hod, so this is of the 1 branch. This is 1 branch. Then it's going to say Kaftor. Then we have the word for bold. Vafe, Rach, and flour. Ushelosha, so 3 bowls and flowers. Giving the bowls Meshukadim from almonds. Ba Kaneh in the branch. Ha'echad, the 1. Then it goes Kaftor, there's your bulb again. Vafarach, there's your flower on the bulb again. Then it says Ken, which means thus, so, thusly, so we've said this. Lesheshet, to 6 Hakanim, to 6 branches. Hayotzim, that's the going forth from the center, the going out from the center. Remember that. Mean, which is your word from. Ha menorah, going out from the menorah. So here we have it. 3 bowls shaped like almond blossoms with a bulb and a sprout in 1 branch, and 3 bowls shaped like almonds blossoms with a bulb and a sprout. Thus, for the 6 branches going out from the menorah. So this can be read a couple of different ways. It can be read such that it's saying there's 3 on this one, there's 3 on this one, and it doesn't mention this one. Or, let's see if no, I didn't say anything about this, so I'm going to have to say it now. Or it can be read such that, although it's not speaking about this one, because it winds up with thus you're going to do the same thing, then it says for the 6 branches. Do you hear it now? That's why that sentence read a little funny, but thus for the 6 branches going out from the menorah. So it's saying you got 3 on the one, then you got 3 on the next, and then it's like we've said enough. Now we're just going to sum up. Thus it will be for all of us, all 6 of them. So to my mind, it's saying that there's 3 that go here, 3 that go here, 3 that go here. Thus, in the same manner, there's 3 that go here, 3 that go here, and 3 that go there. All right, I think you guys got it. Then, verse 34. And in menorah, 4 bowls from almonds, bulbs her flowers. So it's uva menorah, and in the menorah, arba'a, 4. Gevi'im, 4 bowls, meshakadim, from almonds, kaftoreha, bulbs her, uferaheha, flowers. So it's saying, and in the menorah are 4 bowls shaped like almond blossoms with a bulb and a sprout. Okay. At first, this one really threw me. I didn't really understand what it's doing. But it's calling this one single thing down the center, that's the menorah. These are the branches of the menorah. So in the menorah, you have one, two, oh, I missed one. 1, 2, 3, 4 bowls shaped like almond blossoms, a bulb, the roundy part, and a sprout. So that's where the 4 come from. They go up the center. So I put one at the bottom, one here, one here, one here. It doesn't say where they go, except that it goes on the menorah. I could have put all 4 of them up here at the top. I could have put 2 and 2. That part doesn't matter. That's up to the artisan. But there needs to be 4. So I spread them out. Anyway, that's what they're talking about. Verse 35. And bulb under 2 the branches from it, and bulb under 2 the branches from it, and bulb under 2 the branches from it, to 6 the branches went forth from the menorah. Ooh, maybe this will tell us where they go. The haftor and bulb, the surrounding part, tachat, is under something. Sheneh, it's under 2 hakanim, under 2 branches. Then it goes on, mimena, from her. So from 2 of her branches, there's going to be 2 of these things. And it says that haftor and bulb tachat under sheneh, 2 hakanim, the branches, mimene, from her. The haftor and bulb tachat under sheneh. This is all starting to sound like really redundant. Hakanim, the branches. Mimena, le sheshet, to 6, hakanim, the branches. Hayot zi'im, the branches that go out from, mean is the next word, from ha-menorah. So are you guys getting that this single stem here in the center is the menorah? You get that? And maybe they call it, in this case, menorot, because there's only one in the temple, right? So maybe the menorot is the adding of the branches and the bulbs that ultimately hold oil. Don't know why I went blank, but that hold oil, the menorot. Anyway, your translation is, and the bulb under 2 of the branches of it, and the bulb under 2 branches of it, and the bulb under 2 branches of it. Thus 6 branches go forth from the menorot. Two, bulb under 2, the bulb under 2.
Said there was 4, so it had to start at under the first pair and then under the second pair.
I think you're putting the wrong connection here. I had it, you threw me off. Is there anything here? No, of course not. You don't get a lot from the sages on this stuff. It's either there was too much argument about it, no resolution, or nobody wanted to talk about it. The bulb under 2 branches, there's 1. And the bulb under 2 branches, there's 2. And the bulb under 2 branches, there's 3. Thus 6 branches go forth. One, 2, 1 bulb under 2 branches. 1, 2, 1 bulb under 2 branches. 1, 2, there's your third, 1 bulb under the branches. So now we've narrowed down that the 3 bottom bulbs go here, but it still hasn't told us where the 4th bulb goes. It's pretty much the only place left, isn't it? Just saying. All right, verse 36. Bulbs them and branches them from her, be they all her hamlet work, one gold pure. This has actually already been said. This will be the second time. Kaftorehem, the bulbs them, so it's their bulbs. U kenotam, and their branches. Mimena, that go out from her, if you recall. Yeah, they will be kula. All of them will be miksha, hammered work. Remember that, the artisan? Achat. So they will all be from one hammered work. Zahav, of gold, tahor. So it's of the splendor, the brilliance, the thing that makes it so pretty. Pure gold. Remember that? So we really already had it. So it says, the bulbs and the branches of it shall be from one hammered work of pure gold. So now we're saying it a second time. Remember what that does in Hebrew. To sum up this section, Kasuto said that the entire lamp was to be made of one hammered work of pure gold. So you can look at it as a summation, but remember, when you say something twice in Hebrew, that's putting the explanation point on it. So this thing really needs to be pure. The purity cannot be stressed enough. It really needs to be made by an artisan from start to finish. The fact that it needs to be done from start to finish by the artisan cannot be stressed enough. Do you follow what I'm saying here? This is really just piling it on, saying this is very important. Now, at this point in verse 37, Kasuto points out that we change from the parts that are connected to the lampstand to the parts that are not. So in 37 it says, and make you lamps it 7, and make ascend lamps it, and the light upon opposite faces. Not as hard as you think. Va'asita, we've already had this word many times, to make, to labor, to produce by labor, to manufacture, to fabricate. It's from the word asa, right? So it's this idea of you're going to make something. Then it says et, which doesn't have a meaning. It just points to something. What does it point to? Neroteha, the lamps of it. So now, remember, we now know that the stick is the menorah. We now know that adding the branches to the stick makes it the menorot. Menorot, I should say, not odd, but ot. Either way is okay. Right? So now we're talking about the nerote. I'm saying narrow instead of narrow. The menorah, the menorot, or menorot. Then the ne, because it's from the root, the neroah, the parts that hold the light itself. That's the very top pieces. Little thingies up here. The lamps of it, Shiva, are 7. So if you have the menorah in the center and it has a lamp at the top, that's 1. Then if you add 3 branches on this side and 3 branches on that side and put lights, bulbs that hold oil here for the purpose of lighting them and giving off light, then now you have 7. It says the Ella, and make ascend. So the branch in this case is curving upward. It is ascending. This one is curving upwards. It is ascending. This one is ascending. They are all ascending, right? So you're going to make ascend et, or neroteha, the bulbs, the bowls. I'm saying bowls. The bowls that go on top of that you're going to put the oil in. The lamps. Those are the actual lamps. Then it says the he'ir, which is from the root or, is to be or to become light. So this is the part that's going to actually give off the light. Then it says all, which in Hebrew means upon or over. Then it says Ever, over, and then this is opposite. On the other side, across from, uh, panecha, the faces, her faces. The surface, part turned toward anyone. So the front. They're going to be on the sides. Remember, this is the front, and these are the sides. That's being very, very specific here. I don't even know if you can see what I'm doing here. So your translation, and you will make 7 lamps for it, and make the lamps of it to ascend, and make the light on every side of its surface. Now, Pseudo said that we shouldn't visualize the lamp as being connected to the stand, but should rather picture them as individual items that sit on the top flowers of the stand. So, as I did once before in my lifetime, it's this thing. You guys can see that all right. It sits on top. Now, in this case, they have little screws to hold it in place, but you see what I'm saying. This is a separate thing. Now, in their world, it wouldn't have had a screw to hold it. Not likely at all, because with the flowers coming up over it, it would have had a nice little place to set that little bowl with the oil and the wick in it. All right, he also, speaking of Pseudo, he also added, it is not stated of what material the lamps are to be. Gold is prescribed earlier and also later, but nothing is mentioned here. Apparently, it was not intended that the lamp should be of gold, but of terracotta or of copper. In Solomon's temple, the lamps too were made of gold. You can find that in 1 Kings 7:9. Further, he said, when the attendant brings up, in other words, kindles or puts in position its lamps, he must so arrange them that their sprouts and the wick heads protruding from them should face toward the front of the lampstand, toward that which stands opposite it, that is, toward the table, so that the flames illuminate that side without hindrance, and the lamp's shadows should fall at the back of it, towards the wall. I think this is a little strange, what's being said here. They're talking as if you put a wick in the center of this thing and you light it, and somehow it's going to shoot light off in one direction and shadows off in another. I just don't buy that. You know, I mean, if you bring up behind this thing, if you bring the, you know, the flower part of the almond up high enough, you could actually do that if you leave half your almond flowers off. And I don't think anyone would do that. So I think that they're taking something literally here that they shouldn't. Let's go back and look at this for a second. You will make 7 lamps for it, and make the lamps to ascend. They'll be going up from the stem, and make the light on every side of its surface. You know, they say faces, if you recall. The light on every side of its surface. In other words, it'd be more like what we're looking at here. It'd be clear all the way around. So when we shoot the light on the top, it's going to light all the way around, not just on one side. We're not looking to we're not trying to just highlight the table with the bread on it, because it's what it will be facing. There'll be a wall behind it. It'll be sitting over here. There's a wall over here and a table below it. So no, it's not meant for the shadows to be cast behind it and the light to shine out this way. If you've got lights in the center, it's going to shine light out this direction, which will also cast shadows. And it's going to send out light this way, which will also cast shadows. So I don't buy into that. I just think that it's saying that you're going to have the light is going to shine on every surface all the way around it. In other words, it should be clear at the top. I think that's really all it's saying. But Kasuto was a really smart guy, and he may well be right. So, look that up for yourself. You don't have to just take my word for it. Verse 38, and snuffers it, and firepan it, gold pure. So, you guys know what that is. You've seen weddings that people walk up, and at the beginning they go in and they have this little thing that lights all the candles, and then they turn it around, and it basically has this piece here on the end of it, and they walk up and they do that, because what happens to fire when you smother it? It goes out, right? So that's its snuffer. Doesn't matter what the snuffer is designed like. There's no design given for it. It's just that the snuffer, the thing that puts the fire out, is to be made of gold. That's all it's saying. So, and it's fire pan. Now, all of the stuff that I saw, I was looking for some pictures on the internet. All of those fire pans had pointy ends on them. Nothing they pulled out of the ground had a pointy end on it. They're all square, just like the ones we use today. They're just like that. Anyway, and it's fire pan. Again, something that was either square or rectangular. I never saw anything round, and everything that I was pulling up was round. Well, it could be. That part of it's not given, at least not here. So if it's never given, that's totally up to us. If we want it round, make it round. If we want it octagon, make it octagon. If we want it square, rectangle, it doesn't make any difference, right? At least not here, it doesn't. Only thing that matters is that we make it of, so it's umal kacheha, which is, and its snuffers, umach toteha, and its fire pan, zahav, no, that's the gold, tahor. So it's got to be made of pure gold. So your translation, and the snuffers and the snuff dishes of pure gold. That's the requirement. What they look like is up to the artisan. Then in verse 39, piece gold pure, he make her all the vessels these. So it's kikar, which is piece or circle or globe, a circular tract of country, a cake, a round loaf. It's why we say pieces. I don't know, if you could think of shattering some glass and it's got all the little pieces that lay around, those are probably not going to be round, but they kind of are, because it's all these little pieces left, and it's where they get the idea for piece. So it's pieces of what? Zahab, pieces of gold. Then it says tahor, so it's pieces of pure gold. Ya'aseh, hear asa there? So it's going to be made, manufactured, produced by labor. You're going to make it out of pieces of gold. Ota, which means her. Et, that doesn't have a meaning, it's just a pointer. And it says kol, which is the word for all. Everything is included. Ha kelim. So all of the vessels, properly, whatever is made, completed, or prepared, any utensil, even the clothing could be thrown into here, though we're not, because he does specify the material, the clothing that they wear will be made from. But clothing could be part of this. The ornaments, if you wear rings or necklaces or whatever for the ceremony itself, not the ones that you would wear every day, but the ones that you wear for the ceremony, whatever you put on, that's going to be made of gold. At least it can be used of that. Here we're being told specifically it's the utensils, because it's the fire pan, what else was it? Snuffer, and there was one other thing. Whatever those. These are the ones we're being very specifically told that these are to be made of. They're called utensils. And it says ha elet, these. This is how we know it's the three that are made. All right, so from pieces of pure gold, he will make all of these utensils, or he will make all of these. Dishes is really the wrong word, and for some reason I have it there. Utensils, these items, these articles. those words may have made more sense. All right, we have time enough for just the one more. It's verse 40. And look and make in pattern they that you from make see in mountain. This is very important. It says u re'eh, and look, or it's to see. It's said of the ministers who are received in the presence of their king. Why do they say that? Well, because in the day, there was a time when if you went into the court of a king, you walked in, you were announced, and the king would take his scepter and he would make one of two gestures with it. One of them you'd be carried outside and killed. The other one meant you could come into the presence of the king. So it's the idea to be received into the presence of the king, to stand before his face. But it's also, they say, to enjoy the light because you get to live. But the more modern use, as Judaism became more Hellenized, they began to see this as visions that were divinely taught by the prophets. This is not something that would have existed back in the time of the writing here. But it's something that you witnessed, something that you saw. And it says, va'aseh, so you're going to make it, you're going to produce it, you're going to manufacture it. So you're going to manufacture something according to what you saw with your eyeballs. You saw this, and so now you're going to do it according to what you saw. So all of this other stuff, he's being told. But now he's being told, you're going to do all this according to what you've seen. So God has obviously shown him something. Then it says, betav nitam, in pattern the way, according to the pattern that you saw with your own eyeballs. So God has obviously taken Moshe and shown him what the temple looks like in heaven. This is the only conclusion we can draw from this. Moshe has seen it with his own eyes. And now God's saying, look, I've given you all of the basic orders on what I want it made of and the things that need to be there when you make them, for, like the blossoms, what were they made of? Almond blossoms and that sort of thing. I've been specific about that, but you saw it. So I want you to do it now according to what you saw. And then, of course, it says asher atah, so that you mare, what you saw with your own two eyeballs, basically, is what he's saying. And then it says bahar, so you saw it. So now we know, not only did he see heaven, but we know where he saw it, when he was at the mountain, when he was at Sinai. God showed him the temple in heaven. Wow, how cool is that? So your translation then is, and observe and make according to the pattern which you were made to see in the mountain. All right. Well, that's all we have for today. Shalom, shalom, y'all.